Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Radio Mythoverse, official podcast of the Mythoverse. As always, your hosts are Brett McGowan, writer, creator of Changeling and Urban Fairy Tale, and also head of public relations and community outreach. And our co-host, my partner, our co-owner, writer, creator of Mythics, and head writer, Matt Trin. Say hi, Matt.
Hey, guys. What's up?
And sitting in with us today, also two other Mythoverse talents, Dylan Fagan and Forrester.
Howdy doodle.
What's up?
So since Christmas is, in a temporal sense, right around the corner, and since we make comics, Matt suggested we do Christmas-themed comics, which might not sound like it gives us a lot to work with, but I think we'll have a lot to talk about with you guys, because some of the stuff we can talk about, this might surprise you. Since we got Dylan and Forrester as our guests this week, how about you guys start off? So when you think like Christmas in comics, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
I think of Batman Noel, and there's another one I'm thinking of. I'm not sure if it's a Danny O'Neill run. I think it was from the 70s. It was like a Batman Christmas. I think it was an anthology.
Are you thinking of the 90s one that they adapted in the animated series, Holiday Nights?
Maybe, but I could be wrong.
I have a favorite from Batman. It's one written by Paul Dini in the 2000s where Joker it's Christmas Eve and he's driving around hitting people with a car and he's got Tim Drake tied up in the back and the title of it was Sleigh Ride, spelled S-L-A-Y. And he's stopping at Sonic for an eggnog shake and just being all Joker, whatever.
The actual restaurant chain Sonic?
Well, it's a parody of it or something, I think, because they're doing the eggnog shake. And anyways, he shoots the clerk or something. I don't know. He's just terrorizing people on Christmas Eve, just rampant murder. And Tim Drake outsmarts him by getting him into an argument over Abbott and Costello routines, because he's tied up in the back of the car. He can't get free. So he quotes an old routine of, "You can't fool me. There's no sanity clause in a contract," which was a pun on Santa Claus, and attributes it to the wrong Abbott and Costello movie, which gets the Joker emotional and angry, and he's able to exploit that. It's a very Paul Dini story.
So what goes on in Batman Noel? Because I don't think I'm familiar with that one.
It's been a long time since I actually read it.
You at least remember the gist of it?
Yeah, it's it's been a long time.
In Discord, I've just posted one. A 90s Superman animated continuity comic, which confirms that Santa Claus exists. He delivers presents to Apocalypse every year, despite Darkseid's continued attempts to stop him. So on the Justice League series, the one time when it's implied that Superman believes in Santa as an adult, it's apparently because there really is a Santa in the DC animated universe.
Yeah, Matt told me about this one.
Oh shit,
Yeah,
I'm
the only man to be able to solo Darkseid's fortress.
God, I'm stupid. It's literally just a retelling of A Christmas Carol, Batman Noel. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but I didn't want to mix it up with like another comic.
So that's really all it is. It's just a Christmas Carol with Batman in it.
Basically, yeah. With really good artwork, too.
That's not the worst idea.
And the synopsis of Sleigh Ride was a bit wrong. It was Marx Brothers, not Abbott and Costello, but whatever. It's how Tim Drake distracted the Joker in time to free himself. That's a really modern one. That's from, I don't know, 2012. It's not an old comic.
From Mayo, the guy who did the art of Batman Noel, why do I know that guy's name?
He did a Joker comic, too. He's literally released from Arkham Asylum for some reason.
That vaguely rings a bell.
And don't forget, of course, the TV episodes like Christmas with the Joker, which wasn't that good of an episode, but it's like episode 2 of the Batman series, so I'll forgive it.
I think it's Lee Bermejo?
Oh, I get it wrong. He's a writer and artist. Now I think I know where I've seen him before. This guy did some stuff with Brian Azzarello.
Right. I know Christmas isn't in the title or anything, and Batman The Long Halloween. Christmas is in there, so
To be fair,
technically it counts.
I mean, to be fair, the antagonist in that story is called Holiday and is attacking like on every holiday of the year.
So yeah, it counts.
Close enough.
I have The Long Halloween. I have the comic. I don't know if it's a hot take or not, but I think I do like the animated adaptation a bit more. Because
Seen that yet?
personally, I really like it.
How was Dean Winchester as Batman?
Really good, actually. He really fits the role. It's not Kevin Conroy, but it's like... And
Nobody can be Kevin Conroy except Kevin Conroy. That's just a fact.
Right, but I think he's a really good Batman, honestly.
I was worried 'cause he sounds very millennial as Dean, so I didn't know how that would be.
I still think Dean when I hear him, of course, but it's like, he sounds like a Batman.
Okay,
You
I'll
know?
tell you what I was worried. The Scooby-Doo episode. Do you remember that when...
Yeah,
he was
no,
famous with
not
Shaggy?
yeah, he doesn't sound like, no.
Yeah, Jensen Ackles got some range. He killed him when he was Red Hood.
I actually think I like him better as Batman. Honestly, he sold me as Batman.
I like Troy Baker a lot right now, too. Troy Baker can do Batman and Joker at the same time and sound like two people.
I can't believe he's never done it at the same time.
Yeah, he has. He did it in the Ninja Turtles movie.
Oh shit, did he? I never saw it, but
You need to. That movie has no business being as good as it was. Like, it's stupid, but that's what's great about it. Like, it doesn't try to reinvent the wheel. It's just straight up Batman meets the Ninja Turtles. That's it. You saw it, didn't you, Brett?
Yeah, I've seen it.
What's your opinion?
this is where my parents died, Raphael. Amogus.
It's good. It's
Amogus?
It's good. It
Did
missed.
you say Amogus?
Yeah, it's an edit. This is where my parents died, Raphael. Amogus. Just fucking says Amogus.
Anyways, what were you trying to say, Brett?
I don't really have much to say, mainly other than that. It's a good movie, but, just to keep the focus on Christmas. Matt, aside from that Justice League comic, what else have you got?
Well, there's also fables where Santa Claus is a being of godlike power, but the only way to keep that power is to have as few people as possible see him.
I'm not surprised that Santa Claus is real in fables, because that would make sense.
Yeah, he is one of the most powerful characters in the comic series.
Aside from the fact that he has to not be seen, like he only has power if people actually believe in him.
Yeah, and with all the kids that believe in him, he is definitely the most powerful.
I mean, yeah, that is a good point. No, they get with like the classic Coca-Cola Santa. The red suit, like from what I actually learned, that's an invention by Coke.
Yeah, it's the red suit.
But yeah, before that, the popular image of Santa, he had more of a green suit, which was actually more of a robe. I think everyone's seen it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking up. Yeah, it's a more classic looking Santa. Or not classic, like the traditional Santa. I actually didn't know that he was red because of Coca-Cola.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't either until a year or two ago. Like, that was all invented by Coke.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Wow.
The world you live in was created by advertising, yes. But yeah, I'm not gonna give Bill Willingham too much crap for choosing the more popular version, but man, Matt, come on.
They are based on the more popular versions of the myths because everyone thinks of the red suit. That's how Santa Claus comes. So look,
Okay, I mean, that makes sense. Is there at least like a callback to the Green Santa?
they don't really go into any real detail about the character aside from the fact that if you manage to catch him while he's delivering presents, he has to answer your question, any question you want, but you don't get a present for that year.
Huh.
Okay, yeah, I actually found some old artwork. I guess there's some red, but this one is mostly green. There's one that's mostly blue.
But yeah, if anyone thought the red suit was always a thing, no. Sorry, Coca-Cola invented that. I'm sorry we ruined your childhood.
Yeah, I think I've seen like Father Christmas in England be green, and I think I've seen him in just like brown fur too.
Yeah, some of these barely have any red. That's news to me. You know what my mind goes to when I think Santa Claus? The Billy and Mandy version voiced by Gilbert Gottfried. I'll eat your soul.
That's a pretty good Christmas special. That's a pretty solid one.
If we can talk about TV things, I gotta mention the He-Man and She-Ra Christmas, which is, of course, the source of Skeletor. I don't want to feel good. I want to feel evil. That's where that meme comes from, where he gives in and helps a couple of Earth children get back home at Christmas, which it's very rare that universe acknowledged Earth, but that was also set up for a redemption that never came because the comics, the toys, were hinting that Skeletor was the king's brother and wasn't always evil, but then the shows stopped there. So the very last time we ever see the He-Man She-Ra universe, there's like a possible hint that Skeletor's not all bad, and it pretty much lives only as a meme now.
Yeah.
Other versions have canonized that, where he's the king's brother. Shoot, what was his name? Keldor was a store at the time. Keldor, which almost kind of sounds like Skeletor. And the comic that revealed the backstory origin of him as the Randor's brother was actually really early Bruce Timm art.
Huh.
5 years before Batman, he was drawing the little mini comics in the He-Man toys.
Does it look like Batman or...
A little bit, but not really. If you know who it is, though, you can see he was already kind of doing that Kirby style that he would use later.
Okay, now as far as my entries, like, I have a fondness for the Hitman comics. I think it's probably the most underrated comic DC ever made. This, probably one of the best comics Garth Ennis made, and one he's very fond of, too. Here's what he had John McCrae do for the front cover.
Alright, let's see it. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Mercer, do you see it?
Good lord. Oh no.
This is the
Yeah, that's a Garth Ennis book, all right.
What doesn't say? No, it doesn't say "Merry Christmas" other than with a gun in his mouth.
Yeah. Wait till you hear the story of this comic. So, you got a janitor at a nuclear plant in Gotham. And then he gets knocked into a vat of glowing green ooze and gets mutated. At first he thinks maybe he could be a superhero, but then someone suggests, maybe you'd be a better supervillain. So he decides, you know what? I'm gonna do that. And he steals a Santa suit and goes on a rampage through Gotham City.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Oh, and it gets even better because Tommy and his partner Nat, they get hired by the guy who owns the nuclear plant, and there's no way you can't see what the joke clearly is here. Look at this.
Oh my God.
Yeah, what's the...
Want to read out loud for the audience?
You don't have to read it, just the guy who hires Tommy with the evil Santa from his nuclear plant looks like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons.
I noticed that.
And it's like, how can...
Excellent.
And it's like, how can you not read the dialogue in Mr. Burns' voice?
Look, I can't do it.
Look, idiot.
I loved how ambiguously old he was. Like, one time they were talking about some Civil War slave owner, and he's like, I haven't heard my father's name in years.
Look, idiot. The last accident we had developed mucus powers and went off to form his own superhero team. The feds don't like our accidents. They give people the appalling impression that atomic energy might not be completely safe. So what do we do? The only thing we can. Hire a professional. And the professional is Tommy Monahan.
That was really good.
Like, he pays Tommy $10K to deal with this guy.
Who was reading that? Which one of us was reading that?
Brett was.
My God. We have to have Mr. Burns meets Kermit.
Oh no! oh, we have to get him in here.
Yes.
Oh my God! My nephew can do a really good drunk Brett impression, singing "You Got the Touch." No, he is spot on. I'm gonna go get him.
I had forgotten that. Wow. That's when number 2 funded. Brad, did you see the He-Man punch there?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude. Okay, but I'm just warning you. You know I have a reputation of failing on the spot. Okay, just do it. After all is said, you never. Did you guys catch that?
I think I'll...
You guys?
Yeah, I heard it. We probably won't have that in the final ver.
Oh, that's... Okay.
Yeah, just... Yeah.
What?
Okay, so yeah, this guy pays Tommy $10K to kill the radioactive Santa. There's also some typical Christmas shenanigans, like Tommy having to go sing with the orphans from the orphanage he grew up in, because he promised the sister he would. Then there's a whole car chase inspired from the Blues Brothers in it. And then right when Tommy's got the guy on the ropes, he begs for his life and says, "Hey, I've seen the light, I'm gonna be a better person." And Tommy says, "Nah, you're dead." And the final page is the dead radioactive Santa with a little bit of rhyming talking about, where the whole message is, Christmas is the time of year we can all be cool to each other, and anyone who's not, they should get 2 in the back of their head. Because, it's Garth Ennis, he cannot resist a few edgy jokes. But it actually works here just because Hitman could get pretty wild.
Right.
Well, that's any kind of Garth Ennis story.
This is true, but Hitman, I don't know. Like, for some reason, I've seen interviews where Garth Ennis talked about other books he worked on, but he always singles Hitman out for the humor being very weird. I think this might be the one where he really leaned into the humor a lot more than he usually does. Because there were a lot of jokes in this. Not just this one issue, but throughout the whole comic. But it was one of those comics where it made you laugh as much as it made you cry. Now, here's another one. MST3K fans are probably very familiar with Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. What they probably did not know is that there was a comic book adaptation of it.
Yeah, by Gold Key.
Dell.
Well, Dell.
Yeah.
I was close.
Gold Key does a lot of applications too, so.
Did they do the ones? Because I saw one. They did like one for the Mummy, Gold Key art.
That sounds about right, but yeah, like, there's really not much to talk about other than that it's the movie in comic form, so if you saw the movie, you read the comic, basically.
It probably doesn't read as ridiculously as a comic, though.
This was probably one of the failings of the MST3K comic book, that they didn't take the opportunity to take Santa Claus Conquers the Martians and make it a comic book format.
There was actually a comic book of MST3K, seriously?
Yeah. It did not do well, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I can't imagine it would, just because it's like, how do you take that same format and make it work in a comic book?
They actually didn't.
They react to other comics.
No, they didn't.
Oh, that would have been genius.
You figured that'd be the case, but instead it was the characters get thrown into a comic book world.
That's it.
Oh.
Let me guess, they're all winking at the fourth wall constantly, too.
I haven't really read it. I've only read the previews, and they aren't good.
It's like Deadpool if you replaced him with Crow and Tom Servo, I bet.
Wait, now hold on, I'm getting a good idea, though. What if you had characters like that, and your gimmick was to draw them into existing public domain comics for comedic effect? Like they've gone into the world of the public domain comic. They're self-aware of it, interacting with the characters. And Dylan, you know what I'm talking about. Some of those public domain comics are absolutely bat spit.
Oh, I know. Because Forrester and I have had to look through a ton of them.
Like that could be a really good comedy series. It would also save time on art because half your art's already drawn.
Right?
That's what a MST3K comic should have been, and I just came up with the idea on the air. That's mine.
The problem with that is, it was probably because Dark Horse didn't want to do it like that, since
It was Taurus.
yes, it was Dark Horse.
I don't know what was in the public domain in the 1990s. A lot of that might have still been under copyright.
Yeah, honestly, it would have been a good idea if they were to try to find someone cool with the idea of having their comic in an MST3K style comic.
Oh my
Because,
God.
as everyone knows, Dark Horse has a lot of comics.
Brett just posted the cover. Oh my God, that's the lamest cover I've seen since Trouble by Marvel Comics. Do you guys remember that comic, Trouble?
No, maybe I'm better off that I don't.
I believe they were trying to...
That was Mark Millar trying to revive romance comics.
Yeah, I think I remember they were hinting at Aunt May potentially being Peter's real mom.
Oh God, I think I saw the Linkara do this. Was this Marvel?
No.
No, but I've seen whatever this is. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, I'm gonna segue us over to something a little bit more fun, just where the mood really gets killed. So, there's kind of two things we can talk about. There's like two different versions of Transformers Christmas comics. There was one from the Marvel UK series that was done every year that Forrester knows about and Matt knows about a little bit too. And then there was a special that was done over at IDW. The IDW one I think more people might know about. We'll open the floor with the Marvel UK A Transformers Christmas.
Okay. Matt, what are we saying about it?
I think you know more than I do, since you've read them.
Yeah, basically it was just something they did every year. They did several of them, and it was Transformers at Christmas. Now that I'm on the spot, I was doing better before this actual recording stream started. Okay, I'm just going to read the Transformers wiki. Everything but that. Hold on. Okay. Go ahead to the other one, Brett.
Okay, so we'll just
Okay, wait. Here's the synopsis. Says, the magic of Christmas made Circuit Breaker not kill Jazz. Circuit Breaker was a human character, a woman who was turned into a human-machine hybrid in kind of an attempt to bring the regular superhero genre into the Transformers Marvel comic. And she was introduced in Secret Wars, so Marvel still owns her and won't let Hasbro have her back. There's a whole civil war there. And because she's a normal human, Christmas, yes, she softened and didn't kill Jazz. And then the next year was the magic of Christmas made Jetfire appreciate his Earth heritage, because in that universe Jetfire was created here. The magic of Christmas makes Starscream realize that even if he doesn't care, helping people can make him feel, well, actually he still doesn't care. Magic of Christmas makes Grimlock wear a Santa costume, makes Optimus Prime renew his pledge to protect the Earth. A Christmas Carol story with 3 ghostly spirits visiting Dreadwind. so I'm going to stop here, but you can kind of see the general tone. They weren't super serious, but Simon Furman was pretty good at like sticking to the characters.
Mhm.
A human villain, he'd have her actually reform, but like Starscream, the joke was that it looked like he was going to, but it's still Starscream.
Of course it was.
I see the words holiday special. All I think about is Star Wars. The Star Wars holiday special.
I love the Christmas episodes of stuff. Remember the one where G.I. Joe, where Cobra disguised themselves as like action figures? The Joes were doing a toy drive, and they had the Cobra guards and all like shrunk down to the size of the actual G.I. Joe toys to
God.
get into the base. Like, Christmas episodes give you a chance to go stupid even for what the show is. Like, G.I. Joe is stupid anyway, but you can go like 5 degrees stupider, and it's fun because it's Christmas.
If this was live, we'd get a ton of people commenting about how wrong we are about G.I. Joe being stupid.
Oh, no. I love it. I'm just saying it's over the top and campy.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a bad way.
Well-
I bought that Foot Locker set on DVD at full price as soon as it was available. I am a fan.
Well, speaking of Star Wars Holiday Special, you can actually buy it on RipTrix.
Yeah, Neville told me that even with the riffs, though, it's still kind of a chore to get through just because
Yes, it was.
huge chunks of the special are incredibly boring. Like, if
Yeah,
you
didn't
find-
they like literally have like a whole tutorial on something?
I don't know,
And-
but let me put it this way. There's a best of compilation from that Rift Tracks episode, and to hear Neville tell it, those are the only parts worth seeing.
Wow.
And that was Boba Fett's first appearance.
It's not every day that you see the stupidest thing ever.
No. Now for the IDW holiday special. So this one is 3 different stories. The first one is kind of done in sort of a send up to how the Grinch stole Christmas. It's called Choose Me. And what happens is that Starscream is, of course, upset that no one seems to care about him. And so after having a conversation with the ghost of Bumblebee, I'm not going to bother explaining why there's a ghost of Bumblebee. If you read the comic, you probably know why.
Yeah, they killed him.
Yeah.
I guess I should say spoiler, but it got really dumb.
Plus, this comic was published almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after talking with the ghost of Bumblebee, Starscream comes up with the idea of creating a brand new holiday on Cybertron called Chosen One Day, which is supposed to be about joy and gift giving, but it's all supposed to be for him. He has it recorded, then he sends the tape over to the Icon News Service, but unfortunately, Longtooth is half asleep and accidentally cuts off the end of the broadcast where Starscream talks about how it's all supposed to be for him. So everyone thinks that Starscream's new holiday is supposed to be about giving a gift and showing appreciation to the bot you care about most. And everyone likes it. But Starscream is still butthurt because no one still cares about him. And then he gets a surprise visit by Wheeljack, Ironhide, Blur, Windblade, and a bunch of others who say, "Hey, for once you did something that wasn't completely all about yourself, so we're not going to destroy you today." And he's
Holy crap.
and he's happy.
Wasn't that at the weird time where they tried to make him the leader?
Yeah, it's after he became the leader of Cybertron. But it's funny because like he tries to do something that is completely selfish and it ends up working out in a way you wouldn't expect it to. Okay, second one is called Silent Light, and what's happened is that the Lost Light is about to go through a region of space controlled by Maulers, who are a violent, robophobic offshoot of the Galactic Council, and the crew is going to place themselves in a biometric envelopment device so that they don't show up on the Mauler scanners or whatever. And for some reason, the Lost Light is all decked out in Christmas decorations.
Oh my god.
I'll say I kind of didn't like this one as much. I don't know. Like, there are bits of Lost Light story that I do like. This one I kind of tuned out. The last one, 13th Day of Christmas, which is absolutely hilarious to me. Thundercracker tries writing a children's book.
Oh no.
And it's a children's book where he goes and has a fight with Santa, only to find out that Santa was getting framed by Megatron because one Santa gave Megatron a lump of coal.
Oh my god.
Wow.
It is so wacky. There's a guy on YouTube called Rex Blazer who did dramatic readings of all these. I'll post these for you guys to watch later. I gotta recommend these just because the Transformers IDW series, the whole continuity actually just went really off the rails, especially towards the end. But there were still some pretty good moments here and there.
Right.
And I think this holiday special was one of them.
Well,
Like that whole thing with Starscream alone, that's just, oh god, that is so good.
we also can't talk about Christmas comics without talking about our very own Christmas comic or Changeling comic, and it's not wholesome.
Yeah.
It kind of is. That panel where Sasha hugs Maeve, I find that very wholesome.
Oh yeah, 2 Christmases.
Okay, it's like one of them is wholesome. Of the 2 Christmases. Like half wholesome.
Yeah, half wholesome, half let me torment these characters. Like, I'm not trying to be like a Marvel writer, like writing Spider-Man. I just like to put the characters in the conflicts and situations
Yeah.
and moral dilemmas.
Yeah. E-Day was just like really getting.
Yeah.
And then I went and hit an Amogus bone in one of her most dramatic scenes.
I know, I saw that, and I'm like, you! You like instant. I mean, I'm sure most people weren't gonna notice that, but it's like
Now they're gonna go looking for it.
It's not exactly the bone, it evokes it. You know, it was 2020, okay?
it's just a little sus.
Yeah.
The only other Christmas comic I can really come up with are a bunch of random Calvin and Hobbes comics that were published around Christmas. They're essentially what you would expect them to be. It's Calvin getting into some kind of shenanigan in related to Christmas. I think there was one where he made a bunch of really morbid snowmen because his dad's reaction to it is just, you have to laugh at it. I do remember like the punchline was that Calvin's dad suggests that they start looking for a therapist.
Oh my god.
Like Calvin would get really creative with all those different snowmen. Like his snowman house of horror.
Right.
You wish you could make snowmen like this.
Wow, I like that.
That is really funny.
Well, it's Calvin and Hobbes. It's always funny. This one has to be the best one, though.
Oh my god. I don't think the school's assigned enough homework.
Are you kidding me? Look at that.
Okay, this kid is like an artistic genius.
Like he makes a whole scene with snowmen.
It's like he combined Cthulhu with Slimer. Ghostbusters? Real Ghostbusters? Nobody?
Oh,
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
My mind went to the most recent Ghostbusters trailer.
Was Slimer named in the original movie or just.
I think they only named it for the cartoon.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. I didn't even think about that. It's kind of like the Ewoks. They never get named until, merchandising.
Yeah.
Well, until Disney starts doing Predator vs. Ewoks.
Okay, actually, this one was pretty wholesome. There was some that was pretty wholesome.
Oh boy.
So there was one comic where Calvin is hoping that Hobbes gets a present from Santa, but, because Hobbes is a stuffed tiger, anytime he's actually talking, it's actually Calvin's imagination. He's not actually alive. He doesn't actually get anything. And of course, Calvin being Calvin, he annoys his parents about it, but then it ends on a nice note with him just giving Hobbes a hug. Hobbes just so he still gets something, and best presents don't come in boxes. I'll treasure this one forever.
Aw. Yeah, that's really wholesome.
On the opposite of wholesome, I love that saga in the Boondocks where Riley Freeman writes to Santa and tells him off and demands an Xbox. And of course, Granddad reads the letters and then gives himself the Xbox.
Because of course he would.
Yeah, exactly.
Was that in the show or was that in the strip?
That was the strip. I think they might have adapted it somehow.
They had to have done a Christmas episode when the show was on. There's no way they didn't.
They did something because I'm seeing pictures of Riley Freeman fighting a Santa Claus in a store, but I don't remember the
I
content.
think I remember
That's a
that
mall.
one.
That's not a store, that's a mall.
Yeah, because there's a Santa Uncle Ruckus.
Oh,
Kind
Oh.
Actually, speaking of someone who's probably a more ill-fitting Santa,
I want a white Christmas.
you're someone who's a more ill-fitting Santa than Uncle Ruckus.
I've seen these. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the Beavis and Butthead Christmas special. Where one of the funniest moments in the entire show is Butthead reading off letters from fans, thinking that they're going to be chicks who want to get with him, and then he finds out they're all addressed to Beavis, and he can't deal with that, so he just whips Beavis, who's dressed like a reindeer in frustration.
How Boondocks did adapt this, because I'm looking at some of the strips and it's hilarious. He's writing, "Dear Santa, you don't know me and I don't know you. I ain't the type to be believing no fairy tales and sweating some fat dude at the mall. But when it comes to my cheddar, I don't take chances."
Oh my gosh.
He's demanding platinum jewelry and put some ice on that.
Because, of course, Riley would do that.
Yeah. See, I don't know if you exist or not, but if you do, and you've been hitting all these other kids, but fail to bless me, we got beef, kid. Like, I could hear Regina King's voice reading these lines. I think she's both of them. Isn't she Riley and Huey?
I think so.
Yeah.
I hear it.
I do remember him writing to Santa once, and I can't say on the air what he called. Dear Santa, you up.
Yeah, look,
Two words
anyone who saw Boondocks and knows Riley's personality, they can guess.
Yeah. You've heard of the Untouchables. Boondocks is the Unquotables.
We are all too white to quote.
Alright, okay.
We are whiter than Santa's beard.
Okay, so speaking of Santa, while I was Googling Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, I found this by accident. And this looks cool. This looks really cool.
I would read that, yes.
Wait, they're going for accuracy because that's a War of the Worlds, like H.G. Wells' 1897 alien thing behind him, and they've got Santa Claus correct to what he would have looked like in 1897.
Yeah. It's a 4-issue full-color mini with art by James Herron, who worked on Heralds, and has Dylan McCrae doing colors, who's also worked for Brian Lee O'Malley and Brandon Graham. And it was written by Benito Serrano. Here's from an interview he gave on it. We'll be looking at the way the world has viewed both Santa and Martians across 3 different time periods, the 1890s, the 1950s, and today. Both sides will be pretty significantly different each time. It's kind of my attempt to show the world the way I look at Santa Claus, a holistic approach that contains St. Nicholas, Father Christmas, that guy in the Coke ads, and everything else, all while trying to avoid incorporating anything that feels inauthentic or made up. I want to be true to the oldest stories. I don't want anyone to feel their idea of Santa has gotten the short shift. That said, the story begins chronologically too late for us to see much of him in his pure St. Nicholas aspect. Honestly, I want to read this. This actually sounds really cool.
Yeah, I called it at 1890s. Like, I could tell by that walking machine behind him that they're doing the...
Is War of the Worlds public domain?
Yes, the H.G. Wells original. Okay, yeah, I have a slight rant about that. I'm mad that Hollywood has never adapted it in the Victorian age, because in my opinion, that's exactly when the Martians should invade. My reason being is that if they want Earth for its resources, and they've been watching Earth for a while, they would look at the Industrial Revolution and say, oh snap, the natives are about to destroy this planet and ruin the resources we want, so that's why they would invade. The Victorian era is the perfect time for the Martian invasion.
Right.
Independence Day had at least a good way of putting good spin on that. They just pillage the resources and then move on to the next planet, but you know, that's...
Well, I get that, but it's also just rule of cool. It's also, now that it can be done, it's like this new Godzilla didn't have to be in the 1940s, but thank God it was. Like, you know, we can make this action-y stuff happen in other periods now. Like, 19th century ironclad ships shooting at alien spacecraft is inherently a cool idea, like, just the contrast.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Battleship would have been 1,000 times better if they had set it in World War II. It wouldn't have saved the movie, but it would have helped it.
Okay, if nobody's gonna adapt into a Victorian era setting, Forster, you and I should totally make that a comic at some point.
Yeah. Well, I actually do have a comic that I wanted to utilize. I have like a Victorian era G.I. Joe type of thing called the Sideshow Rangers, which I'm really proud of that title. And the part of the gimmick of that was that in 1897, the Martians take over Earth, and it's a dystopia, and people in the 20-something hundreds, 2200s or whatever, send like a iPad or something back in time with information of what's happening, and they send it back to about the late 1860s, and the U.S. government and like an enemy organization both have knowledge of what's coming. So you get like this sort of G.I. Joe and Cobra setup where they're fighting over who gets what when the aliens arrive. The alien invasion is left in the future. That's what's making the two factions fight. It's too complicated for me to draw on my own, though. That would involve like a lot of soldiers and fight scenes, and that stuff's hard.
Yeah, I'm not doing that either.
I know, right? But it's an idea on how it will happen. It's just not happening anytime soon. And the characters would be like, you know, criminals, Civil War vets, Indians, anybody. The gimmick, though, is that they're all legally dead. They call it the Fraternity of the Dead. Everyone that's in the Sideshow Rangers has a grave somewhere. And some of them can be historical figures. Others are made-up characters. So it's like Suicide Squad, G.I. Joe, but in the Victorian age.
That is actually really badass.
Yeah.
Oh, we should probably get back to Christmas stuff.
Christmas stuff.
I think that was at least a cool idea for a pitch of a comic. we still covered a lot of good ground today, especially like finding out about that Santa Claus versus the Martians comic. Yeah, like I said, I really want to check that out. The art looks cool for one, and plus it's got that more, I'll say for lack of a better word, more traditional Santa, but it's also kind of showing like different periods of Santa and Martians. The concept alone has hooked me. And you know what? As for all you folks at home, hope we've kind of kindled something for you. You know, I can't think of anyone who really does not like Christmas. I mean, like, you have to be a very miserable person to probably hate Christmas, I think. I mean, just hearing about some of these comics, that kind of doesn't make you feel warm. I don't know what to do.
Santa Claus fighting Martians makes me feel very warm. Yes.
Yeah. And then you got that Calvin and Hobbes comic, which is just, you know, that's very wholesome. And, of course, juxtapose that with all his morbid snowman displays. And you get at least two funny stories in the Transformers Holiday Special from IDW. And even got some dark humor in the Hitman Christmas issue. And it is canon in the DCAU that Santa Claus is real, and he delivers presents to even people on Apocalypse, and not even Darkseid can screw with him. Like, how can you not like that?
Yeah. My Christmas comic that I picked for this wasn't wholesome, though. It was the Joker. Joker shooting the Sonic manager.
To be fair, what else would you expect him to do?
I just love his expression in that scene. I want to see your manager. And then just like bang, it doesn't even look at the manager. Now, Paul Dini is fantastic anytime he writes. He's one of the rare writers that you could tell him, okay, you're writing for kindergarten age kids, or you're writing for mature audiences only, and both scripts will be equally good. Not everyone can do that. It can be fantastic for any group. And his stuff doesn't read like, oh, well, this is an adult script and he had to water it down, or this is a kid script but he added cursing. He's like really good at setting up the scenes and the scenarios and the stories that it feels correct. I guess.
Yeah, Bruce Timm wrote, he'd be like, okay, how can I get Batgirl and Batman together here?
Bruce Timm backs up my general opinion that artists shouldn't write. There are exceptions. I hope I am one.
Me.
I'm giving way too much airtime to plugging a famous creator, though. Good lord. Like, Paul Dini does not need my pitch. If anything, I should say he sucks just to balance the universe so people read something like read our stuff instead.
Nah. The guy's married to the woman who helped him inspire his version of Zatanna. He's won at life.
Pretty much.
Yep.
We'll be back later this month, another Christmas show. I want to see if this is a thing before we go, though.
I guess with the comics, I do get a little depressed at just the smallness of the audience. But that's not just for Christmas. That's comics in general. But, you know, it's like, wow, this is great. And fortunately, a very tiny number of people will ever see it compared to, like, the TV specials and episodes and all that.
Okay, before we went off the air, I wanted to see if there was, like, any comic Christmas charities. I did a quick Google search. I couldn't find anything, which is a bit of a bummer.
I think Ben Dunn had an idea for like giving age-appropriate comics to children, you know, for Christmas.
Okay, yeah, there's gotta be a comics Christmas charity. That ought to be a thing. I think that's a good note to end on. We hope you have a Merry Christmas. We'll see you guys on the next show, and maybe next year we'll make the comic Christmas charity a thing. Other than that, if you can, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to help out the Mythoverse financially, there's a link to our Patreon in the description. Even so much as $1 helps. Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.